What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters. Welcome to nolifetilmetal. It's time for the second July edition of Rock Metal Update. That's right. Time for another rock and metal update. This is going to all be cassettes. I still have a vinyl video coming up and a live / bootleg vinyl video coming up. So this one here is all cassettes, like I said. Going to start off with two from the same band. One of my all-time favorite thrash bands. This is Dark Angel. The last two studio albums that they did, they are back together. They've been touring for the last few years, playing a lot of the festival circuits and whatnot. But regardless, they haven't put anything new out yet. But these two albums, just brilliant thrash. I know a lot of people like, the first two albums better. It just depends on who you ask. I just think some people prefer the old raw stuff. I personally thought Dark Angel got better with each new release. I mean, We Have Arrived was spectacular, but after that album came out, they got Gene Hoglan in the band, and Gene is just one of the best drummers ever. And like I said, every album after that was just fantastic. And I think with these albums, they just stepped it up musically, songwriting, technicality. I mean, these things are just thrash metal gems. I also tend to prefer Ron Reinhardt's vocals to Don Dottie's. Not that Don Dottie's a bad vocalist, I just like Ron's voice. I just think he had a unique sound, and he was very aggressive, and he could still hit the those high notes like Don did on the old songs, but he had a unique sound, and he wasn't sounding like anybody else. And, original albums, both of them in great shape. I got to play and listen to both of them, and they are on Combat Records. Fantastic band from LA, not from, people tend to think thrash, they tend to think Bay Area, but there was a lot of great bands that came out of the LA. And I mean, if you really think about it, Megadeth and Metallica basically came out of LA as well, but bands like Hyrax and Dark Angel, among many others. Okay, next up, three from the same band. These ones are still sealed. Now I'm arguing with myself whether I want to open them or not. But I bought them all at the same time. They were relatively inexpensive, from one of my favorite bands, but this is from Germany, except their last few studio albums. Unfortunately, I'd like to get all their recent albums with T.T. Quick's vocalist in there. I'm trying to think of his name. It's driving me nuts. Mark singing for them. But anyhow, this is Stalingrad, Too Mean to Die, and The Rise of Chaos, all on cassette tape, all sealed. Each one on a different clear colored cassette with white ink. So there's a red one and a green. And then finally, I think this one was red as well. So there you go. Accept, fantastic band. Obviously, if you don't know Accept, you're probably not a heavy metal fan. And they've just been cranking out some great albums over the last decade. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. All right, a couple from this band as well. I'll show you this one first. This is the third and final. I've been looking for this one for a while. Raven cassette. Now, when Raven's first three albums came out in the 80s, they were not released on cassette on hardly anywhere. Italy was the only place, I believe, they originally came out on cassette. And if you look on the spine there, you'll kind of see an Italian stamp on it in red. And I brought the other ones over too, so you can see that all three of them kind of have a similar look. But yeah, these are the original pressings of the first three Raven albums, Italian pressings on cassette, and all three of these are in great shape and sound good, and really glad to have them in my collection. I'm just a Raven lunatic, and literally a Raven lunatic, and I collect anything from this band. I've just been a big fan since the early 80s. I mean, I discovered them early on. My buddy Tony Lee from Heathen's Rage, he was in high school with me. He turned me on to them. And this next band I'm going to show you as well. These are original attic pressings of ANVIL, the first three albums. Most people hold these in very high regard. A lot of people think these are the only good ANVIL albums. I disagree, but regardless. So you've got Heart and Heavy, the first album, which was actually originally released independently as Lips Hard and Heavy, and then they changed the band to ANVIL. And of course, Rob Kudlow took on the name Lips. One most people call their favorite, Metal on Metal. This was the album I discovered the band on. Once again, Tony Lee threw a cassette at me and said, check this out, and I loved it. And then finally, Forged in Fire. So there you go. All Canadian pressings of ANVIL on Attic Records. And let's see what else we got here. All right, I talked about, I should show this one right after the Accept TT Quick. This is a still sealed pressing of TT Quick's Thrown Together Live. It even has a promo thing on it, which is oddly printed on it, but featuring Dave DiPietro, who at the time that this came out was playing in Nuclear Assault. So basically TT Quick had Nuclear Assault had 2 TT Quick members playing on it for Something Wicked, Glenn Evans and Dave DiPietro. So glad to have a sealed copy of this to add to the collection. I'm still looking for the first EP on cassette. I've had the vinyl for decades, but I never owned the cassette, so I've been kind of looking for a copy of it. If anybody knows where I can find one at, let me know. But Thrown Together Live. All right, the rest of these, none of them are, no more twofers or threefers. One of my all-time favorite bands, the Galactic Cowboys, Space in Your Face. I really wish this thing would get remastered and released on vinyl. Man, I know that their Machine Fish album is coming out on vinyl, double vinyl, this year, I believe, end of this year, and I'm really looking forward to that because I love Machine Fish. But this is my actual favorite Galactic Cowboys album. I think this is the same, the dude in there. I think that's the same guy who's on the cover of Sanctuary's second album. Skipped my mind. Into the Mirror Black, and Fate's Warning had an album cover with an old man on it, and there's a bunch of guys. It just seemed like late 80s, early 90s, this old guy was kind of popular and showed up on a bunch of different covers. But regardless, such a great album. And bass player Monty Colvin, he's got a very prolific online presence, especially on Facebook. He's a painter, and man, he's fantastic. I bought several of his prints. Check him out. Just look up Monty Colvin on Facebook and you look at his prints. I mean, if you're a fan of just so many, he's done so many great bands. I bought Jimi Hendrix, Steven Tyler, and Lemmy, so that's just 3 that I know he has of many, many ones. So anyhow, Galactic Cowboys, their second album was on Geffen Records. This is Space in Your Face. All right, what do we got here? Thrash, more thrash. This is Tankard, German thrash. A lot of people think these are a lot of people say Tankard are the 4th band in the big 3 of German thrash metal. Obviously, being Creator, Destruction, and Sodom. For me, it's Accuser. I love Accuser. They're up there with those 3 to me. But Tankard are great as well. Found an original pressing cassette for very inexpensive, so I snatched it up. This is Chemical Invasion. I can't remember what year this came out. I think it's 87, 88. I think it's got to be around 87, 88. Okay, got 3 more to go. Post-Mortem, raw, nasty, punk-influenced metal. Don't really sound like anybody that I can think of, but again, I found this one for inexpensive, so I grabbed it. Always thought the cover was weird. Most of their covers were weird, but they're just a weird band. Regardless, Post-Mortem, this one was what, had to be early 90s, was it? 1993. Yeah, this is 93. And then this is the Canada only compilation. You probably remember the Metal for Breakfast compilation, which I do have that one on vinyl, both of them, and Metal for Lunch on vinyl. But I'd never seen the cassette version ever. I didn't know it even existed, but apparently they did press them up in Canada only. This is a Metal for Lunch compilation on Attic Records. It features, some people are going to balk at this, but whatever. Aerosmith, Back in the Saddle, Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head, Judas Priest, Love Bites, Lee Aaron, Barely Holding On, Crocus, American Woman, Kim Mitchell, Go for a Soda. Now that one I mean, Aerosmith in 1978, Back in the Saddle, that was, or 76, excuse me, was definitely heavy for its time. But Kim Mitchell's Go for a Soda, metal, now you think you're stretching it there. It's a great song. I really love it. It's a good, heavy pop rock song, but it's definitely not metal. Rush, 2112 Overture, TNT, Ted Nugent, Free For All, Kick-Axe, Hellraisers, Dio, The Last in Line, Y&T, All American Boy, and finishes off with thrash band Razor and Evil Invaders, Metal for Lunch. And, oh, I never showed the other Raven album. It's sitting right here. The Mad EP. I don't have any of the other Atlantic albums yet on cassette, but this is of the Atlantic years, this is my favorite. I just think the Mad EP is spectacular. Yeah, it's only an EP. It only has, what, 5 songs on it, I think. Maybe 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. But every song on here is fantastic. Do or Die and Speed of the Reflex is one of their best songs ever. It really was them. They were pissed, and that's why they named the album Mad. They were mad about the label, forcing them into a direction they didn't really want to go. They were mad about the lack of promotion for that album, and they just wanted to return to form, and I really think they did on this particular album. Great picture of Mark Gallagher on the cover there, too, making one of his killer guitar faces. And finally, one of a bazillion different Judas Priest compilations. This is Beyond Metal. And we've got, You've Got Another Thing Coming, Hot Rockin', Beyond the Realms of Death, Eat Me Alive, The Rage, Riding on the Wind, Hellbent for Leather, Diamonds of Rust, Heading Out to the Highway. I talked about it in my last CD video. There was a Judas Priest 4-disc set, and I said I appreciated the fact that the music was in chronological order, and sometimes they think they just pull names out of a hat and make a compilation out of them. I think this is one of those. They just literally pulled a bunch of, throw all their songs in a hat and just pull them out and give me 10 songs, and those are going to be on this tape. And pull another 10 songs, that'll be on the other tape. So it's just one of those odd budget line things. There's not much to it. There's no inside. But regardless, it's Judas Priest. It was very inexpensive, and I just collect anything Judas Priest, so I grabbed it. So there you go. That's my cassette update for July of 2022. Appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Stay strong.